Hey everybody, welcome to Film Juice. I'm John.
Wait, I'm John.
Hi John, I'm Mike. Welcome to Film Juice. We're here to talk about the new Hulu film Prey. It's
Yep,
not a
just
religious film.
get on my knees and pray. Yes,
Shows
because that is all you can do against the predator.
well, it's all they can do against the Europeans that are coming to change their way of life. But we'll get to that part. Uh, so John, what did you think of Prey?
There were some really good like battle scenes as well that I enjoyed. But on the other hand, yeah, there was this kind of sense of almost like it wasn't a predator movie, you know? Um,
Yeah,
and that the predator didn't feel as menacing as threatening. And there was a couple of reasons for that. I think there were some moments where he was was showing his strength, but took on a lot of damage and just kept going. And so he almost just had this kind of like unrealness to him.
yeah. I think I
Um,
described him as a like Michael Myers type, very specifically Michael
that's
Myers.
right. Yeah, that's a
Um,
good comparison. Now that you say that again.
no, like not just any like Jason Voorhees, but like Michael Myers, like just kind of an unstoppable force. Um, and you compare that to the other. Let's just think about like I guess the first two movies,
Okay.
and you've seen them, right? At least in some
Yes, I
point.
have. I
Okay.
have. Yeah. Um,
It's been a while for me for both of them, but um, I've seen them so many times.
Same.
The Predator has a character to him, whether he's like just outright kind of menacing, like in the first one with Schwarzenegger, or the second one with Danny Glover, where he's a little more vulnerable. You see like sides of him that you didn't see the other Predator. Um, you see him in pain. You see him like struggling to fight at times, and this one just felt like, yeah, just this unstoppable monster. Um, that just he didn't. I did like when they started removing his limbs.
Removing his limbs.
Yeah, didn't they chop his arm off at some point?
Um, Let me think. Was
He
there?
doesn't really. He doesn't have a huge reaction to it.
I was that towards the very
It's
end.
it's towards the very end. Yeah,
I'm trying to remember. I think it's hard to. I think you may be right. I think I remember that.
the end does kind of
Is
run
it,
together.
or
You're
at least
yeah,
part of his hand or something like that, right? One of his
something
hands.
aside from the mandible that she rips off, which I still think is badass. That she stabs him in the shoulder with it. Um, yeah, this predator is different, and even compared to, I didn't want to bring him up, but the Alien versus Predator movies,
Mm,
where they felt like they had like a weight to them and they had motives
mm-hmm.
and they were a little more mysterious. This one is just kind of like a brute that skins snakes for no reason.
Yeah. Um, that I was kind of waiting for. I was kind of waiting for. I found myself just continually to wait for the predator um, to feel like the predator. I guess
Yeah.
when I think back to my watch when I was watching it, and even though, and I guess that's why it felt a little off once it was ending and the final battle and all that, and um, there's some other things that happened that I was like, yeah, this it's kind of sucks, like because it could have been so good, and and but there's nothing we can do at this point, to change anything in that movie. But
Yeah, and I don't want a second one. But I am coming from the other side. I really liked it. I liked how scaled back it was, and it's an interesting setting for a Predator movie. It's going like way 300 years into the Great Plains. And I told you earlier, I think that it felt whitewashed, like the whole village and the way they were dressed. But
Mhm.
when reading on the production, uh, people are saying like, man, that was very authentic. They
There
even
was
brought
some. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
they were like they even brought horses in. Like the director was like, we need horses because they're Comanches, you idiots. So they brought in some horses, and looking back at it, um, that whole walk, there's that tracking shot through the entire village at the sort of the very beginning, where everyone's going about their daily routines, and I don't know, people are patting mats down or whatever the hell they used to do. And yeah, I thought it felt like it kind of
It
reminded me of
was.
like one of those reenactments on the Discovery Channel.
Hmm. Oh, okay, so it gave you
It's
those kind of vibes.
At first it did, but looking back, I guess they put a lot of effort into it, more than they had to probably.
I mean, I love those long shot sequences. You know that they. I mean, you know that they take a lot of work usually
Yeah, that's a lot of
to make those
choreography.
work.
Yeah.
The director, Dan
Uh
Trachtenberg, right?
Zuckerberg, yeah.
He directed the 2016 movie 10 Cloverfield Lane.
That was a good
Um,
movie.
I still haven't seen it, but I do give him kudos. Give him credit for or kudos on. I don't know if people give kudos anymore or what, but um, I definitely give him credit. He did a really good job with the directing in this movie. It really felt like a big budget movie,
Hmm.
like a theatrical movie, cinematic, very cinematic type
Yeah.
movie. And I would have liked to have seen it in the theater, honestly.
I
Um,
if it were a little bit larger scale and had a bigger budget, I would have liked to have seen it in IMAX just for like all
hmm.
the location shooting.
And I kind of like that, and maybe that's why some of the things, some of the good came out of this movie and some of the bad, because it wasn't like full blown for the cinema. Um, but yeah, he did do a good job, and it really did feel immediately like, yeah, this is a very cinematic, type experience, and definitely one of the better movies, one of the best movies to have gone straight to streaming,
Yeah. And we
and
we
with new
pretty much saw,
actors. I mean,
yeah,
a lot of
with
these actors are brand new.
they're brand new. That girl especially, she was pretty cool. And I think I don't know, that was either very good CGI and or stunt work, but I think she did some of her own stunts.
Mm. Yeah, like it didn't. And that's what I thought could have been a little stronger is her motivation, because you do find out that something happened to her father, who seems to have been a hunter within the tribe,
Mm.
and so you think that maybe there wasn't a connection though made as far as it was a very light collection. I mean, light connection. Like it was almost just left there to kind of assume what happened to her father and how that might motivate her to be a hunter. But yeah, I think they could have, because she was just like, talking with her mother in this one scene. And her mother's like,
Yeah.
you keep trying to basically be a hunter, and you have a lot of other skills too, and she's like, and she asks at one point, why do you want to be a hunter? And she
Yeah.
replies, because you don't think I can. And I was like, okay, this
Yeah,
isn't like
that's true. That's the opposite of what I
2022
was
or
thinking.
something or whatever.
Um, is it just me, or did you expect her mom to be more of like a kind of like a like a bitch?
Yeah, she could have been more so,
Y-
right?
Yeah, I thought she was gonna be very like, no, you till the soil or pluck the roots or whatever.
Yeah, and I think part of that was that they didn't want to shed, a bad light on the Comanche,
Hmm.
tribe in itself. So they didn't go hardcore with that. But yeah, you're right. I was I was expecting it. I was expecting it.
Yeah, I was thinking she was gonna be like worried sick, that she was missing, that she can't take care of herself. But the mom never really doubts her, but she never encourages her.
Hmm.
Um, she's just kind of quietly opposed to it, which I was glad there wasn't that kind of family drama in it.
Mm. Yeah, I mean, it really didn't need it, and I didn't think it was a good motivator anyway.
No.
Uh, Especially like, I mean, the seriousness of survival, um, which I think one of the best scenes for like putting that into perspective, like surviving as a Comanche in the wild like that, is
Hmm.
when they go hunting for the lion, and you just see that lion like they think they're being smarter than the lion because they're trying to lure it into an area and they're waiting on top of a tree, but that lion like was smart and knew they were there, and so they don't even see him coming, and the lion takes out one of the Comanche and right in front of the main character Naru.
But the
And
brother does come back and say, "Hey, it was your idea that saved us. That's how I caught the lion."
yeah, right. And
She just wasn't, I think, like physically ready to do that.
right.
Like she was
And there's like the mental preparedness as well.
right. Yeah.
But yeah, I thought that was a good example because it really, and I wish there was a little more, even reflection on that, but because there really wasn't. But after the fact, because she does survive that moment, but she barely survives. And
Yeah, barely.
there's really almost no reason she should have survived, honestly. But yeah, I mean, that put into perspective, like, yeah, like you don't just do this because people say you can't do it. You know what I mean? Like, I don't
Yeah.
know. I just, that when you're so close to losing your life like that, there has to be more motivation. And, um, but, you know,
I mean, I
I,
guess that just speaks to it being about a tribe, you know. You have to think about it from that perspective of that's their kind of that's their social hierarchy, and that's how they accomplish upwards and downwards movement.
yeah, yeah, that's true.
So
Um,
it does seem like a weak motivation, but for them that's like the motivation.
but yeah, I guess everything that comes with it is what you're saying.
Hmm.
The leadership and the power.
Yeah.
Um, because yeah, you're right. I mean, her brother who ended up taking down the line, he returns and they make him war chief, and
Mhm.
and she confronts him or he confronts her, and after that, and she tells him, there's a predator, tells him about the predator. She doesn't know what it is, but it's out there, and he's like, well, if it is, I'll kill it, and I don't want you to go out there, by yourself. And she's like, well, is that a command, war chief, or something?
Yeah, something
Basically,
smart.
yeah. And so, yeah, I mean, I could see that. Yeah, I guess if that's what she wants, and that's what she wants,
Yeah.
but
It never really felt like she was taking that on as her ritual hunting thingy. Um it felt like she was just like, hey, this thing is dangerous. Somebody needs to stop it, and no one believes me.
Right. And
So
that fell in perfectly. Like I thought that was like, yeah, like you're the only one who knows about this,
no one's gonna
and
help you. You
no
got a
one's
lot of
gonna help you.
doubters.
They don't believe you. Yeah. And so yeah, like you at least have to investigate, on your own. And so yeah, that fell in perfectly. I think I thought that was.
Yeah, when she steps up to the mantle, you know.
Hmm.
Um, however, there was a huge bear. Nobody was wrong about that.
Oh yeah.
That was a great. I like that horrible CGI fight scene of the bear and the predator. Um, the
That was
predator.
great. I
It
was
was a
surprised that,
cartoon.
yeah, the CGI wasn't all that great.
They couldn't get a big fake bear, like a fake bear, and just like throw it around and put some animatronics in it, and have a real guy like in a green suit so they can blur him out and make him look transparent. No,
No, that's a good point. Yeah, I mean, overlooking that, um, just the battle itself, I was
yeah,
like,
the fight itself was cool.
it was, and I guess that was one of the ones where the predator just kind of like dusts himself off, but the bear tears into him. You see all the predator's blood all over the bear and uh
And
in the
that's
water. And
that speaks to what you're saying about how weak, like not how weak, but how like he just shrugs everything off.
yeah, and you think, and it was weird. It was kind of odd, but it was kind of odd because the predator, he goes into cloak mode where he is not visible by anyone or any animal.
Hmm.
And but then he wants the animal, like he kind of taunts the animals really to try and attack him, to try and kill him, right? While he's in cloak mode. And so the bear, he does this with the bear, and the bear tears him up. And he kind of and then he gets back up, and then like kind of just gets the bear. He bases the bear head on again, and he's able to just cut into it, right, and kill it.
Yeah, and
And so it was just
he
kind of an
throws it
odd,
next to her.
yeah. And then he throws it right next to her, and then she goes floating down the river. But yeah, and then he doesn't attack her there.
Yeah, because he didn't see her as a threat. She wasn't holding. I don't think she was armed.
She wasn't,
Oh,
but yeah,
mm,
you're right. She wasn't armed, but I don't know. It just,
they do that though. Remember, he did that to Arnold in the first one when he knew there was a trap. He just kind of like, screw this. Then I'm not. I'll come after you later.
yeah, but yeah, I guess I see what you're saying.
Like they do have that.
How they examine for weapons and stuff.
Yeah, they like they know there's something alive, but okay, okay, inconsistency there, because why is he killing wild animals that are pretty much helpless against, uh,
Like his spears and
his spears and his shields and his laser cannon and his thermal vision, all things that are perfect for a hunter to have, but totally unfair.
right. Um, yeah, so I don't know, the whole animal hunting thing just,
Do you think he was just like kind of like he was hungry? Like he was like, I got to kill something right now.
it just, yeah, I guess so. I mean, it was, I don't know. I don't know what that was. It was something that, well, I guess it just didn't feel, I mean, none of them stood a chance, none of
No, of
the,
course not. Yeah, they did stand their ground though for
oh, well,
being like,
I meant the animals. I meant the
oh,
animals, none of them.
yeah,
Yeah, like, he always had the upper hand, and I guess you want to do that as a hunter, but um, just I don't know. I guess the way that he was just facing off with the bear just was kind of strange because he's in cloak mode, right, and everything, and you'd think he'd want to kill without being seen or without causing a fight, basically.
Yeah. Or give himself a challenge.
Yeah, and if he wanted a challenge, you think he'd get out of cloak mode.
Maybe
Yeah.
drop his dagger, just fight him with he has claws.
Yeah, yeah, that's right.
So, and he's like built. So yeah, and he's 8 feet tall. He's as tall as the bear. Like that would have been a cool scene though. Like, come on, just put a guy in a bear suit and have him fight a guy in a predator suit. They did it with Batman. You can have a bear fight a predator.
Yeah, or like however they did it in that one movie with Leonardo DiCaprio.
Oh, the Revenant.
The Revenant, yeah. Yeah. And that's basically what happens to the Predator. Like what happened in the Revenant to Leonardo is basically what happened to the Predator, and the Predator just kind of just walks it off. And so yeah, that's when I was like, okay, this is this at the same time it was a cool fight, but at the same time I was like, what kind of Predator are they trying to portray here?
Yeah. Because the first one was cunning and smart. The second one was basically the same, but a little bit like a fish out of water because he was in a city.
Yeah, that was like chaos, like all around.
Yeah, that's where he was just like out of his element. And
there was this fear, there was a fear. There's always a fear of being around him that you knew when the camera cut to his point of view.
Yeah,
that
it makes a little like
yeah, and you hear him breathing, and or whatever that is that he does, and but yeah, you have the sense of fear, like, oh shoot, the predator's creeping up on someone, someone's about to get it,
Yeah.
And then this one, it wasn't at that heightened kind of, which in a high stakes environment with a predator, it should be that way.
Yeah. And I don't know if it's to its detriment, but it felt a lot like a slasher film where you were watching for the deaths. It got to that point.
Yeah, because you almost like him because he's killing the French guys, right?
French settlers, yeah.
So you're kind of rooting for him part of the movie.
Yeah. Especially when he throws the well, I guess we should explain that. We're not going to delve too much into the plot because it's a little too straightforward. Predator attacks some people and one girl decides to make a stand.
Yeah, basically, it's basically it. Yeah.
And then she runs into some French settlers that kidnap her. They're gonna do who knows what. They're abusing her dog, who's the best character in the movie, and they're just assholes. Like they just they're xenophobic. Talking down to them, saying, I like that they didn't translate the French because it kind of puts you more in her shoes, and that I think we might have disagreed on that earlier when I was like, I kind of wish it would have like at least sometimes they would speak Comanche or something or whatever dialect it is.
Oh, they did. I don't know if you.
A few times they did, yeah.
There was just a few things, yeah, that they would say eventually, but yeah, apparently there are people who like the Comanche dub of the movie.
Oh, okay.
Right now, so I may even go back and watch it again with the Comanche dub.
You don't see that really very often.
But I appreciated, like I was telling you earlier, I appreciated not having to read like the
subtitles.
the subtitles. Yeah. Um, and having to keep up with both basically is what I mean.
Yeah.
Usually I have the subtitles on too, like if I'm watching it real late or something, but I could at least hear it enough to where I'm not always reading. But yeah, I mean, it would have. So I'm interested in seeing it, but yeah, it would definitely would have turned off people. I think if it was Comanche.
It wouldn't have made a big splash the way it has.
Yeah,
Um, although I don't know, like among critics probably from how bold that would be, but yeah, I wouldn't fly with just people that want to see the Predator.
right.
Um,
I feel like it would have been because it almost already doesn't feel like a Predator movie, and I think it may have pushed it um, in people's eyes at least. Like first time watching, like is this a Comanche movie or is this a Predator movie?
the heights of the movie are towards the end of the second act when Predator pulls out all the stops and starts using all of his gadgets. It's like, come on, man, it's a musket. That was actually pretty funny when they all shoot at the same time and they stop and they start packing the
Start reload.
yeah, they start reloading. And the camera doesn't even show them die, you just hear it.
I appreciated the deaths, that they weren't so like just all blood and
They weren't totally
out
graphic.
crazy. Right.
Yeah. Like they were all kind of out of focus. Especially the one where he throws the I think the guy has a knife and the Predator picks up the trap and he throws it at his head. And you just see the guy like fly like 2 feet in the air and land on his head. But it's way in the background. The worst one for me was the nifty net thing that he threw at the Comanche guy.
Oh yeah,
It was like
that was so cool.
and the camera just pans down until there's like just chips of wood left. I thought that was neat. Oh, and he had a Captain America shield. That was cool.
Yeah, and I was surprised that none of those bullets at all penetrated his skin. Even when Nora, like point blank range, in the back of his head, shoots him right. Like,
see, that's part of which I wish something they had touched on some more is like his physiology, like
right, maybe some scene of maybe where he's because there's times where he disappears or like
20 minutes at a time sometimes.
Yeah, and you're following Nora and who knows where the Predator is, you don't know what he's doing. But that could have been an excellent time to just put in like 30 seconds of like maybe there's a bullet stuck in his skin,
Yeah.
right? But it didn't necessarily go through all the way into and completely penetrate it.
Yeah.
But yeah, something like that, yeah, would have been helpful to see oh, okay, he is.
It would have been a good callback to I think it was the first one or the second. It could have been both, where he's doing something to, I think he's pulling a shard of glass out of himself in the second one. And he screams and the camera just pulls back and show these people reacting to like, what the hell was that?
Yeah, so it sounds so like terrifying. And
what animal is that in an apartment building? So something like that where I don't know, he's in a tree and he's got to pull the spear out of himself and he screams and like all these birds just scatter. All the Comanches turn around like, where is he?
And maybe the tribe hears it and or her brother, and they're like, what the hell's that? Nora's out there.
Yeah, it's not a bear.
Even though they would have been looking for her anyway, but something like that would again just that would have been helpful to drive the stakes.
Yeah,
what it really means, what's happening here on screen.
I think I asked you. Well, I guess let's shoot through the rest of the movie. She fights him. Her brother.
Yeah, I was gonna say they fight him together at first.
Yeah, it was a pretty nice little 2-on-1.
it was that's probably like my favorite part of the movie, honestly.
Yeah.
And well, and a little bit before that, when the Predator is just taking out all the French guys. Um,
Yeah.
but that was a really cool action sequence too. But yeah, when Nora and her brother come together and just they're taking down the Predator, and it's like wow, like you see her brother on a horse and he uses the Predator spear against him, and you think, I mean, this spear goes right through him,
It does. Yeah.
um, from his shoulder, one shoulder, all the way down through his um, what is that? Like the kidney area.
Oh, like his flank.
Yeah, and it just goes right through, and then the Predator just stands there and takes it, and then just pulls it out, and then boom, he's back to 100%.
Yeah.
So that sucked, but
He could have at least pulled a cane from a soldier and pumped himself up full of some weird liquid and
yeah,
been like, "Roar, roar," just like that.
but Comanches apparently uh, they were horse hunters. Oh yeah, you brought that up earlier. And they're super like dangerous on a horse. So to see a little bit of that in action was really cool.
Yeah. No, and that was some good, interesting choreography in terms of like just fighting on a horse around a stunt man. That's kind of neat.
Yeah, it was.
And
They shot it really well. You're right. It
yeah,
wasn't.
it wasn't confusing or dizzying or shaky. Everything felt very like nice and fluid. Um, every
And
action was, you could see every action that was taking place.
so, and during that scene, the Predator takes the spear out, and then he retaliates towards I guess, is it pronounced Tabe?
Yeah, it's Tabe.
Which is Nora's brother, and Nora's there assisting him in the fight, and then the Predator goes to cloak mode, and they don't know where he's at. Nora's like, "Let's go, we should go," and Tabe's like, "No, this is it.
This is
This is as far as I go."
Yeah.
And
Jab.
yeah, right in the back.
And that's not the
Predator
end of
gets
them
him.
either. He still put up a fight.
Yeah, that's right. He grabs one of the skulls that the Predator has as his like trophy. The Predator collects skulls, and
Yeah.
he stabs the Predator in the leg with the skull, and the Predator just takes out Tabe.
I didn't even catch that he stabbed him with a skull. That's pretty cool. But yeah, she sets up this brilliant trap. She steals his mask.
Yeah, the trap was really brilliant. That was. Yeah.
How
And
she
so
knew it would stay on, I don't know, but whatever.
And how, like, again, the Predator didn't get a bullet through his head when she shoots him from like what, like
It was
12
point blank.
inches away. Like, yeah, I was like, and the mask flies off, and she's able to, take it from him that way.
Yoink.
So yeah, and she sets it up an elaborate trap. And there's a little montage, or there's not a montage, but
There's a Home Alone sequence where she sets up her little traps.
yeah.
There's always a Home Alone sequence in these movies.
And she uses one of the French guys that got away to help her
Yeah.
and fool the Predator, which was neat.
That I mean, he deserved it. At first, I thought he was going to be helpful. He did teach her how to shoot a gun.
Oh no, that was the other French guy.
Oh, the other French guy. That's right. She captures that other French guy.
Yeah, they're right. There's the one who teaches her how to fire the handgun, and that's how she's able to load it and knock off the Predator's helmet. And And then there's when she has that face piece, I think it is after she captures that one French guy who got away from the whole battle where all the French dudes were
Yeah,
slaughtered.
he was just washing his face.
He wakes up and rats are eating at his body, right?
Yeah. She cut off one of his legs or something.
I guess she did, right?
Yeah, that was pretty
That was
brutal.
pretty brutal. Dang. Um, Apparently the Comanches were known for being pretty
Extreme.
yeah, brutal to their captives.
Yikes. Well, that's fair. Those guys were assholes. Um, but yeah, is that where she's covered in the mud and she's like, he can't
Um
he can't see that he's
so
killing, or
so
she's
here there's a little jump of logic here. Um but she is a keen observer. She is a very good tracker. She's described as that Naro in the movie. And she thinks strategically when she's hunting. Um, she's that type of hunter. And
she shows that prowess in the beginning when they're both hunting, that they're aiming their arrows at that hawk, and he just like
yeah,
her brother shoots it down. She's like, I was waiting for it to circle back so I wouldn't have to run across the river to get it.
yeah,
And she shows that she's a thinker. She's not just like just a warrior.
I think at this point the two really come together in the movie, where I wish there was some kind of thing more with her brother as well. Like you see it happening on screen, but it would have been nice to see that connection like a little stronger, in that she sees that she has to give her whole self, basically to this warrior mindset.
Right.
Um,
Yeah.
and with her brother passing, like that's ultimately what she's doing. Like it all comes full circle, where this elaborate trap is her kind of way of hunting, but the whole thing of committing to kill, basically your prey, she goes all in like crazy. And so yeah, the way she set it up, she actually uses herbs though. And this was the jump in logic, I feel like. But and this is why I was bringing up her observations. But she observes that somehow she observes that the predator can see his prey through their heat, through
Oh,
the heat in their
it,
blood.
it's when she feeds the French guy the orange leaf or whatever, and
Right.
there's like right over him, and she's like, oh, he can't see him because she knows that it freezes your blood.
Right. And it was like a treatment that they give, and she knows how to make for those who are injured.
Mm-hmm.
And it slows the blood and it keeps them from bleeding out. And the way that they describe it too is that it makes their blood cold, so the person actually gets real cold. To me, it was the connection wasn't clear. I mean, but like if I would have been there, I don't know if I would have made that connection, to be honest. But that's me. And so yeah, so she uses that once she's set up her trap with the French guy. Um, she takes that and waits for the predator to come and uh, get the French dude who's loading his gun to shoot her. And but he, as on the floor on the ground, is because she's already crippled him. And so the predator comes
And that's ultimately how she beats him, just through
yes, that's right.
wit.
That's how she's able to get so close to him with the gun. That's right. I
Yeah,
forgot about that. Yeah, that's how she's able to get so close with the gun and shoot off his helmet. And she runs off with it and then creates that trap.
that trap.
I thought it was funny seeing her wrap those spiky things around one of the trees.
Yeah, it was an Arnold thing.
And I was like, how long would it take to do that in the dark, you know?
In the dark and painlessly.
Yeah, I gotta say that was like that was a stretch. And but and then she uses it for like a second, right?
Yeah, it's not gonna work, but he aims at cannon at her as an
So
idiot. Again, another uncharacteristic thing of a predator.
yeah, so this is the killing moment here.
Mhm.
And so spoilers if anyone's
Oh,
listening
big
here.
spoilers because this is brand new.
Um, so the cool thing is, well, she leads him into the what is it? It's not sinking sand. It's like it's mud, right? That you just
Oh,
sink into.
the quicksand.
S- Yeah, like yeah. Um, so she leads him into that. She's at the other end, and so he drops in, and then he rises back out somehow. It's funny. I was thinking he's like vibrating himself out of it. I don't
I thought it was just
know.
really shallow.
And then so she has her helmet set up to the side of him, and as he and so he lifts his arm up to aim at her, to shoot his spear at her, and at the same time his helmet activates and the laser is pointing at his head. And so yeah, he pulls the trigger. Basically, the spear goes towards her, but is still controlled by his helmet. So it swings around and pierces his head, and he dies. Yeah, it was great. And you hear him make a sound right before it gets inside like it pierces his head and kills him. He's like, boom.
It's like that Spider-Man moment before the glider hits Green Goblin.
Yeah.
Oh,
So that was great. I like how she used his own tech to kill him.
yeah. That was the
Finally.
one and only reason I'll accept that he had any of that technology. Because if I can go back to comparing it to the first two, in the first
Yeah.
two you're facing people that have automatic weapons or semi-automatic weapons. You're going to want to go in, with more than just a few blades or a spear. Here you're going up
Arrows.
against arrows, yeah, but here you're going up against just indigenous folk who don't have, they haven't touched gunpowder yet. Whatever. It was good. I enjoyed
Yeah, I know I say a lot of negative things about it, and I don't want to sound like the negative dude, but I agree with you. It's still good, and I get, and it already looks like general audiences really like it, and that's what I was already thinking too. Like most people are going to like this movie, um, despite its flaws,
Yeah, despite the flaws. Um,
and
and there
it's
are a
and it's
few.
kind of like deviation, from as far as the predator characteristics.
Right. Yeah. I mean, that's even if people pick up on it, because
Yeah.
some people just see the predator as a monster, and he had a character, and I think in both of the first movies, he wasn't just like this plotting kind of unstoppable force. I would even say that the predators in the AVP movies had more character.
Mm.
And it didn't help that this one was CGI for like three-quarters of the time that he was on screen.
Yeah, and it's interesting too, like how the arrow pierces the predator, for instance, but the bullets seem to not have, you know.
I was thinking about that, and I think it's the nature of the gun. Like they're shooting little musket balls. If they were shooting
Mhm.
like piercing rounds like we have now, like yeah, definitely probably would have knocked them back way more. But and their projectiles don't even go that fast. They don't go at even like a reliable rate of speed. It depends on how much gunpowder you put in them. And if you're panicking, you're not putting that much, maybe, or maybe too much. So I'm thinking these guys just were scared shitless and they weren't loading their guns properly. And I'm way overthinking this.
I know. I mean, I think there. I love that there's another Predator movie for one, and that it's better. This is. I would say this is better. This is one of the better ones. I still think it is, and I. I would like to see an even. Because Predator deserves a great movie, and so that's why I would want it to see it like done even more like what's the word I'm looking for? I would just like to see it done uh, with the big budget, that it deserves, and the great story, and all of it, all around. Um, but yeah, as a simple like Predator Prey movie, and like a pretty straightforward plot. Girl goes after Predator to save her community, and finds the warrior kind of within,
Mhm.
and gains respect from her community for that. Like, yeah, like that's all there, and it does the job there.
Yeah.
Um,
What really stands out, I mean, because you're right, the plot is very simple and you can more or less tell what's going to happen. It's a little predictable, but the fight choreography for me, um, all of like the spear fighting and stuff, and like I mentioned earlier, the horseback fighting, all that stuff looked kind of new to me. Like it wasn't quite martial arts.
I did too. It was cool.
And I like that it wasn't shot on a damn green screen.
Me too. Yeah, the environments were really beautiful. It was, uh, yeah, the landscapes were awesome, honestly. Uh, and you're right. I never felt like it was in a big old warehouse with green screens everywhere.
Yeah, but yeah, everything was well acted.
I would have liked it too, honestly. Like, and I was telling you this earlier. I think if anything, I would have changed as far as that with the main characters. I think it would have been great if they just had her and her brother. Like,
I didn't get that feeling from the movie that it was about like a female empowerment thing, but it was a nice angle to have. Like
I kind of got that feeling, honestly. Like,
mm,
it wasn't like one of the strong overtly ones, though. Like
yeah,
that are out there. It wasn't like that, but it was definitely there. Um, and I think it would have been cool to have her and her brother throughout the whole thing,
yeah,
and have it be maybe something with like a brother sister thing, and they
yeah.
play off each other's strengths. They both have weaknesses. They both adapt, right, and grow from that. And I thought that would have been cool, especially in that scene where they're fighting together. I'm glad they at least had that in there. That scene of them working together, but yeah, so that would have been the angle. I think would have been more interesting, and I think even longevity wise, I think that probably would have aged a lot better, um, in my opinion. But at the same time, I know I say all that, and the movie is good. I mean, overall, I would say it's good. It is one of the better Predator movies. I don't want to sound too negative.
No, I mean overall I enjoyed it. I didn't really have any issues with it.
Yeah, and I think I will probably check it out again sometime soon. I definitely want to watch the first one again.
if I guess because we neither of us have seen them in a while. Um, but just in terms of what you remember, how would you rank the three of them? Like just the three. I know there's like five.
So this Predator 1, 2, and this one, or
Yeah, yeah, just the first two and this one, because
oh,
this one
okay.
has a lot of ties to the first two, not just in terms of the some of the sequences, but like there's that thing with the pistol at the end, the pistol that Danny Glover gets at the end of the second one.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he beats the Predator in a fight, and the other Predators come and take that one away, and they're like, "Here, you win," and they leave. And it's that exact pistol with the engraving on it.
Yeah, it's tough. I want to say I would probably put this one third. I Again, it's been a while since I've seen them, but 1 and 2, I think I would put Predator 1, of course, is the first one, Predator 2 the second, and then this one is third. Um, at this point, because the last one I have seen, I saw most of it the last time I was watching, which wasn't too long. It was in the past few months. It was Predator 2, and man, that one's just like that one keeps you on the edge of your seat,
It does, yeah.
like
That's
like
pretty.
crazy.
It follows the same beats as the first one, where you don't see the predator for a little while. Um, all you see is everything, like all the skulls and the corpses, and some of it they don't even show in focus. Um, and that's like a nice build up. Whereas here, he skins a snake. You learn that all the skinned buffalo wasn't even him; it was the European settler people.
That's right.
Um, he
And
didn't
you know what I thought
skin.
would have been cool? And
What's
this
that?
is sorry, this is like a tangent too. Is if it was in prehistoric times and he's
Mm.
actually fighting dinosaurs or something. Like some like really like crazy predators within
And
the
that would
wild.
be cool. Yeah.
And then you see the humans or see some humans out there. Um, and he has to go against some of the humans too. I don't know. That's something that came to my mind. If they're gonna have him hunting animals, uh, there might even be a comic like that for all I know.
You're you're probably right. You're yeah, I
But
gotta
maybe
look that up
maybe for
now.
the next one, I don't know. The prequel.
300,000 years earlier.
Yeah, it's interesting. They have different comics here. Like there's a series, or well, there's a couple issues. Predator, Bloody Sands of Time, Cold War, Race War, uh, Kindred, Hell and Hot Water, Primal. So yeah, different.
Yeah. Predator versus Batman is definitely the best one, probably. It's
Is it
really
really?
good. Yeah, it's really good. Batman is investigating all these weird murders.
Uh-huh.
He's finding all these like spines and people hung upside down, and um
Oh,
eventually
there's
the predator sees him as a threat, so they start hunting each other. As a kid, I only ever had the first issue, and it looks like Batman's about to die. So in my early 30s, I decided to just buy the actual thing and make myself feel better.
oh. So how would you rank them though, as far as the three movies?
The same. Um, I mean, the first one's the best. It's got a classic monster build up to where you don't see it until about 30 to 40 minutes in. Second one's the same way, but it's in a different environment. They're not this exact same movie, and you see a different aspect of that, whatever alien the predator is. And then you get that nice at the end of the movie when Danny Glover has the duel with him, you get the skull of the xenomorph from the Alien movies in the background. That movie's just fun. And this one, I think, took itself very seriously. And I think the change of venue, like if you just take these three movies, I think it's nice to have a change of venue in each one. And I think this one had, the motivations were muddled, I think, on both sides. But I still think it's better than the other four Predator movies. I don't like to count Alien versus Predator, but I have to. And then there's Predators, which was interesting. And then, did you watch The Predator?
I did see that one.
I didn't. Most people, it like bombed pretty bad.
It did. It was way too low budget, basically. That's what the problem was. And
you know what's sad is it was the writer of the first movie.
oh, really?
Yeah.
Dang.
I had read a review that said like it's as if he was trying to torpedo his own franchise.
Like he was trying to what?
Torpedo his own franchise.
Oh. Yeah, it was pretty bad. It starts off promising, but then it goes downhill for the rest of the movie. And the actors too, it didn't help. Like the way it was written, and the actors just, it was weird. It didn't make sense in some ways too. The group of people that went after him, and yeah, just.
So yeah, I mean, I'd say within this franchise, it's definitely one of the better movies.
And the second one, apparently it was so dangerous where they were filming like in the neighborhoods, and they actually found a dead body.
Oh shoot, that's crazy.
In one of the alleys they shot in. In Los Angeles. It says the director commented, "The most horrible place. There's one of the most horrible places I've ever had to film, and we're in the alleys in downtown Los Angeles." And Predator 2 was shot in a lot of those disgusting alleys. They were dirty and depressing and gross, with people peeing on walls. We'd be rigging something, and there would be rats there.
Nice. That's where the movie works. But yeah, this was another exceptionally good direct to streaming movie. I don't even like it as a sci-fi nerd. I like it just as it's more of like a thriller action film.
Yeah, it is. I would characterize it like that too. Sci-fi, a little bit of sci-fi in there.
There's like a drop of it.
Yeah.
I mean, I know he's an alien, but they do show the ship drop him off, which I was like, come on. I know he's from space. I didn't need to see that.
I didn't mind that. I just didn't think it was. Well, it was interesting because she characterized it as she characterizes a few different tribal.
It was like an omen or something.
Yeah. To her, she did see it as a sign of being her time for her hunt. What was it called again?
That's racially insensitive, Johnny. But yeah, generally good movie, well made.
Yeah, definitely in the right direction too.
Right direction, yeah. So I mean, I would recommend people watch this. I know a lot of people are going to already, or they already have. It's definitely worth your hour and a half if you're into. Even if you don't know what Predator is, you don't really have to. And if this is your first one, you'll see better ones later. I think that's Prey.
Yeah, give Prey a watch, and depending where you're listening to this, let us know what you think as well.
Yeah, leave us a comment, a follow, subscription. We are on Apple Podcasts, we're on Anchor, and we're on Spotify, which apparently no one uses. But see us there. We're on Twitter at FilmJuiceE. It's Film Juice with 2 E's at the end. We have a TikTok. It's also Film Juice with 2 E's. And come say hi and leave a comment about whatever. Leave a comment about how this wasn't the movie, because that's really what we like to read.
Oh yeah, like this isn't a way for you to watch the movie on YouTube.
Yeah, we don't have 40 videos of free movies. We would have been kicked off a very long time ago.
When it says review, we mean review. It's not code. It's not code or cryptic for. Yeah, you can watch the movie here.
Yeah. And also, we didn't know that many people liked Universal Soldier, so that's nice.
Yeah, that is cool.
But yeah, like, subscribe, look for us wherever podcasts are, basically. We'll catch you on the flippity flop.
All right, adios.